Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night. It's 6 o'clock on the Pacific Coast, and I am Serveta Hassan. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc., and welcome. I'm back. I've been gone a while, I know. I've been through a lot. Most of you know all about it. If you don't, you're going to be hearing about it on the show sooner or later, and I'll talk about what happened. But in the meantime, I'm back. It's a new year, new me, new everything, new show. And I've got a great show tonight. I've got a good guest. I've got Swami Sadashiva Tirtha. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Hey.
Sadashiva.
Congratulations for even trying.
That's the first shot. Good. Thank you. I mean, you're amazing. You are the #1 best-selling author of the Ayurveda Encyclopedia. You've written another book I heard because your students prompted you to, called The Bhagavad Gita for Modern Times, and a book that I wish I had when my daughter was in college called The Stress-Free College Student. Where was it when I needed it most? She was a wreck during God, she was a wreck at UC Berkeley, let me tell you that. Yeah, that did her in, trust me. No, actually it didn't. It was the University of Pennsylvania Law School that did her in, but I could have used that book then. And also, the book that we're going to be discussing today is called 21 Days of Joy, Embracing Our True Nature. And what could be better to start the year with? Because as I tell everybody, it's when you embrace your true nature and become your true self and be authentic that you get everything that you want and you get in the flow of the universe and things become effortless and easy and you get what you want, law of attraction or not. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need to be your true self, I think.
That's it.
Right. And so anyway, that's why I wanted you on the show. You've done amazing things. You even have presented to the White House Commission on Alternative Medicine, and you speak at such great places, universities and medical groups like Johns Hopkins, and I think you've been doing this for 100 years. So first thing I want to ask you, Swami, you've got the expertise. Yeah, the first thing I want to ask you is, how did this all begin? Because really, this is 4 decades of teaching wellness and consciousness, and you are, quote unquote, a joy expert. So how did that start?
Well, sir, the funny thing, the irony is that my discovery of joy was born out of a tragedy in my childhood.
Oh.
And when I was in around 4th grade, I started to get these dreams at night, which were basically seeming like premonitions that I would be separated from my parents. And over the next decade, I kept getting different types of dreams that were all still had the same theme. I'd have different sets of parents. I'd be separated from my parents. My parents would leave me. And then in about the 10th year from that, in waking life, not in a dream, I was in the car, my parents were driving, and all of a sudden my vision went black, and I started crying, and I said, I don't want you to die. And when I could see again, they were like staring at me, bugged out eyes, of course. What are you talking about? And then within the year, sir, they were in a car accident, and they died in the car crash.
Oh.
And so my dreams came true. And aside from the tragedy of it, because there's an upside of equal or better proportion to a tragedy, I said, what was all that? Who was talking to me? How was that possible? And I really just dove in both feet into a search of spirituality and meaning and that whole other side of life that we didn't even know about back then. I was like 1972. And I discovered meditation at college and really just, it was answering all of my questions. I felt some peace inside of me, despite the outer circumstances. I became a meditation teacher and traveled the world and meditated 6 hours a day. And it really got me, it was just, I just wanted to help everybody, because if it could bring me some peace, it could help everybody. And I became kind of fanatical about it.
Well, I'm a big, everybody needs to meditate every day, no matter what, even 5 minutes. It's changed your life.
Yeah.
So you got into that.
So, Yeah. then over the years, I discovered Ayurvedic medicine, and then that's when I wrote my encyclopedia. And after 9/11, when everybody was stressed out, instead of coming to me for stress, they stayed home, frightened, feared out, stressed out. And so the Spirit said, move upstate. I moved upstate, New York, and I got an invitation to visit the Amazon rainforest and live with the Amazon tribes, indigenous tribes. And there, in ceremony with the shamans, Spirit came and right in front of me and blew in my heart, and everything shifted for me. And I said, wow. And then I said, I could do that. And the shamans told me that I was a natural-born shaman and healer. And when I came home, I started blowing into people's hearts, and they were changing instantly or overnight. And that was the start of my discovery of energy, instant energy medicine. And I've been doing that ever since and helping people now. I have a beginner's meditation where it's active. In 20 seconds, your stress is gone. And because, we're in an age of instant oatmeal, Instagram. Why don't we have instant meditation?
Yes. It's kind of a microwave world, everything needs to be done pronto. But we're going to you have a 60, I think it's 60 seconds long. It's a meditation.
Yes.
And it really does change you. And I want to do that on the air. But first, I want to finish this story because somewhere along the way, you became a Swami as well, which for people that don't know is, you have to be trained to do, you have to have a guru actually proclaim you to be one. You just don't say you're a Swami one day, So how did that happen?
That was in the middle there somewhere. Where did that happen? I was about 5 years in this first meditation group, teaching meditation, and then Spirit said it's time to come back in the world, and that's kind of a theme in my life. It's like a life loop where I'm weaving back and forth between the spiritual world and the real world, meaning the 3D world. And I was back in this world for 5 years teaching. In the TV world, which is what I was studying in college initially. And then that was really like, this is so empty for me. I want to go to India now. I don't know why. I love Ayurveda. I love the meditation. So let me go to see Mother India and thank her. And when I was there, and I left everything. I sold my condo and I left my job and just, that was it. I went.
Right.
And there I met my guru. And a couple of years later, I went back to visit him, and he recognized me as a Swami. He didn't say anything. He didn't say do this or don't do that, but just from, I guess, all my training and background. And so I came home and I opened up an Ayurvedic shop, Ayurveda, Vedic astrology, teaching. I started a certification program in Ayurveda and had my own Ayurvedic herbal product line. So that's...
Yeah. What year was that? What year was that when you went to India and you were proclaimed as Swami?
The first year I met my guru was December of 1988, and then I went back in 1990, and that was the year he recognized me.
Right. Okay. So you're also known as, AKA the Orange Cowboy, and also the Hip Guru, because I know we're going to talk about your website. I want people to be able to find you, and that's the Hip Guru's Guide, right?
Right, the hipgurusguide.com and orangecowboy.com.
Okay, so where did the Orange Cowboy come from?
Well, that's funny. 2 summers ago, I was taking advanced mediumship training at a place called Lilydale Assembly, which is upstate New York near Buffalo.
Yes.
And it's one of the top 2 or 3 mediumship training schools in the world. And people would come up to me and say, oh, you're the Orange Cowboy. And then other people would say, or my teacher would say, everybody's calling you the Orange Cowboy. And it was so much fun, and everybody had such a laugh out of it. I thought, well, why not call myself that? Because it makes people so joyful.
Yeah, it
and
does.
so that's how that came.
Well, were you wearing orange? Were you wearing an orange cowboy hat? Is that what started it?
From the orange cowboy hat to orange shirt to orange pants to orange shoes. Yeah,
okay. So you picked orange because it is such a joyful color, right? You didn't just randomly pick an orange cowboy hat, or did you?
Well, no, not random. Here's how that all started.
Yeah.
In India, the monks wear orange robes.
Right.
But my guru never said to me, now that you're a monk, you have to wear orange, because I lived in America, so he respected America. Mm-hmm. But a few years later, I started seeing orange in my head, the color, and I'm so joyful that I said, oh, this is great. And then one day I was in a store, and they had an orange T-shirt, and I said, oh, look at that. And I bought it. And another time I was in the store, and they had an orange hoodie, and I go, look at that. And there was orange socks, and before you knew it, I was pretty much wearing orange, and I was a little self-conscious. I said, but you know what? It's also the color of the monk. So there's, it's a dual purpose. And I actually did wear robes for a while, but these days, now that I've been called into the world more, I wear the Western clothes, the jeans, to honor the West, and I wear the orange in joy and also to honor the East. That's
a lovely story, actually. I love it. I mean, really, orange and yellow are such joyful, fun colors,
Yellow too.
And it does make a difference in our attitude and our, everything. I think the energy, I do believe in that too, that we should, be careful what we wear and the colors we choose and all of that as well. And I think orange is the second chakra. Third chakra?
That's
right.
Right. Second chakra.
Yeah, so that helps too, really. And then Hip Guru, did you come up with that, or did that? It feels like something your students did.
Well, it was somebody else. I was in a program. I was talking to literary agents, and one of the agents from New York City, the New York City attitude, she says, well, I was talking about my new book, The Stress-Free College Student, new at the time. And she said, well, I don't get it. Why would people think you're an expert, unless you're like the Hip Guru guide? And it's like, oh, or she said something like that, and I thought, oh, okay, that's it. That's a pretty cool name. And so I tweaked the name and used that one. It makes people smile, It's something different. It wakes people up.
Right.
I have people stopping me in the airports and saying, thank you for wearing my favorite color, or can I take a picture of you? My friend, maybe you know Robert Clancy.
Yes.
He's an angel friend.
Uh-huh.
So we were coming back from a group called the Evolutionary Business Council last fall in California, and it was 5 a.m. in the morning. We were changing flights, and everybody's half asleep, and as we're leaving the plane, the stewardesses are starting to joke around with us and the colors, and we get off the plane and we're walking down the hall, and one of the stewardesses calls out, hey, can I get a picture with you?
Oh, how cute. Oh, how good.
It's so
That's
much fun.
Well,
it just changed out of the ordinary. Out of the ordinary day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what was this? Is that where the book came from? 21 Days to Joy? I know why you picked 21, because 21 days is what it takes usually to change a habit, correct?
Right.
Psychologically.
Right, to create a new habit.
Yeah.
Right. So to get a habit of joy, you do these exercises, read this for 21 days.
Right.
And I started reading. Actually, I wrote the book initially for a young man who had a drinking problem and he hit a police car and wound up in jail. So I wrote the book initially for him. I figured 21 days in jail, he'll change his attitude. But then I broadened it out. I said, you know what, this is, I really want to talk about joy. So I tweaked the book, and everybody goes crazy for that book.
Oh, it's wonderful. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's just, it's very thin. It's just a little thing to do every day, a little thing to think about. Mm-hmm. Doesn't take much time. But as you said, in 21 days, you create a habit of joy.
You do, because in 21 days to change anything we do, usually that's how long you have to keep doing it before your brain understands it's just going to be the norm. you know?
Right.
And then but you also have a mantra and an aphorism for each day too, which is really excellent. And you encourage people to journal as they go too.
Right.
So it's very kind of, it's more of an experience than it's kind of interactive. Do you know what I mean? It's not just read this and you're done. You read it and you have to do the exercises more or less to help you, sink in what you just read. Right? Is that?
It's absolutely, sir. But it's all about experience, because theory alone doesn't give us the experience.
Right.
Theory is up in the brain, but in the heart, in the gut, in
right.
our feelings, in our emotions.
Right.
So take our ideas and put them into action and test them out and see if they work. And when they work, then it's like, holy cow, that's real knowledge.
Right.
Knowledge based on experience.
Yeah, because to me, knowledge alone is not enough. Otherwise, you could just be a armchair quarterback. It's not enough. You have to take the knowledge and really experience the knowledge. Otherwise, it doesn't stick or hold, or it doesn't do any good anyway. I want to read from the very beginning of How to Grow Your Joyful Paradise. Before the book begins, it's sort of the prologue or the pretext, and that's what you called it, How to Grow Your Joyful Paradise. And it says, what we put our attention on grows. Choose what you love to do in the world. Choose what brings you inner peace and joy. This is how you create your paradise. This is how you live in your joy. Joy, joy, joy. And I like, well, it's true. What we focus on is what we get. And most of us know that, but some of us forget that, and we needed to be reminded of that, or we're not practicing that. We may even know it, but we're not practicing it. So I think this book helps you do that. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is that the place where people get stuck, because it's one thing to say, I remember years ago, like 100 years ago at least, when I read Joseph Campbell's, one of his books, and it said, well, just follow your bliss. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, follow my bliss. I can't even pay my freaking rent. You want me to go fund this happened, and the guy broke up with me, and I'm in hell, and you want me to go? I didn't understand, that was a very long time ago. And I was like, follow your bliss? What is he talking about? But that, really he's right. And many years later,
Well, he says his quote, which bliss and joy. I think joy is a little bit more comprehensible word than the word bliss. Mm-hmm. He says, when you follow your bliss, doors open where there used to be only walls.
Right. That's true.
So joy is that core of us, who we are, that makes everything, that opens up life for us. That connects us to our hearts, to our spirit, to our love, to our humanity, to divinity. But not too serious about it, seriously real, seriously joy.
Well, right. And there's one of the days of this, in this 21 Days to Joy, it says don't take yourself too seriously, because
no, the angels have such a great sense of humor, and if we can just tap into them, we really can have a lot of joy.
Right. Well, the part of the problem is what I started to say and brought Joseph Campbell up, because it took me a long time to learn how to move on and do something that you love without letting fear stop you. Because this is where people go, oh no, I can't do that. I need to make a living. I need to do this job I hate because I can't do anything else or whatever.
Right.
So what do you say to them?
Well, it's always good to start from where you are, and you never want to burn any bridges. So if you feel you need that job, then that's okay. But why not try something in your spare time? Do something you love. And if you love it, it might very quickly become a hobby. And if you really love it, people might start saying, hey, where can I buy that? Mm-hmm. I have an orange cowboy hat that I colored it in myself, and somebody said, hey, do you do that for a living? Do you make people's cowboy hats? I could have had a business right there.
Right.
So
You don't.
So start small. Take baby steps. Experience. But find some. There's nothing to prevent us from having joy. It doesn't. If we just smile. So you probably heard this. Mm-hmm. Science says if we force a smile, if we mm-hmm. fake a smile, mm-hmm. it tells our brain that we're happy, and it mm-hmm. creates the happy hormones. Mm-hmm. So the first thing when we wake up in the morning, smile. Guess what? We're in joy. We're creating chemicals of joy in us. You can still work at the job you hate.
Right. Do you do that? Do you wake up every morning and smile?
Yeah.
Do you? That's good. You should.
Throughout the day, a smile, or sometimes, there are different types of smiles, and sometimes it's more of a divine experience where you don't even need to smile because mm-hmm. It's beyond smiles.
Yeah. Well, here's something I do every morning. Well, I meditate every morning. The first thing I do before my foot hits the floor is I meditate, because I'm big on that. We'll talk about that, because really you cannot change anything unless you change your thinking, and you have to be still to do that. Yeah. But after it's a secret. I've never told anybody this, but I'll tell you, and all the hundreds of thousands of people listening. But anyway, after I meditate, I kiss the back of my hand. I don't know.
Oh, lovely.
I don't know why, but I think it's just me thanking Spirit. It's not about being egotistical. It's just about, because Spirit did this. I'm alive for a reason, and so I just kiss the back. And you know what? That makes you feel good. It does.
Well, yeah, you're Spirit too. When you're saying, "I love me. I love my essence. I love my Spirit." I have people pat themselves on their back after, throughout the day. Hey, good job. You finished a little project. It could be nothing. Hey, you walked around the block. You went out to get the mail instead of drove your car to get the mail. Pat yourself on the shoulder. Wow. And your energy shifts in that second. The experience shifts in that second.
You did. I just did it. I just did. Great show, Servette. Best show ever.
Best show ever.
You know what though? Look, I'm making fun, but really honestly, if you're listening, pat yourself on the back or kiss the back of your hand. It does do something to you. It does. It changes your synapses, because really people don't understand too that your brain is making chemicals all the time. And it relates to how you're thinking, what you're thinking and how you're feeling. So if you feel good and things flow and come more easily, and life happens a little simpler. And if you're just down and just not think, if you wake up and go, "Oh God, another day. Oh no." It's your brain does things. It makes chemicals, and your stomach doesn't feel good then, and you don't feel as good in your step. You're not as much energy. You won't feel as good. You just can't, because that's just how our bodies function. Right?
Right. Whatever we're telling ourselves, we're programming ourselves for that. So even if if you force a smile, after a few seconds you're making this funny face, it's very hard to feel bad. You may feel neutral, but you won't feel bad, and you'll usually feel a little bit lighter. Mm-hmm. So
well, you
that has to go back to your question. Mm-hmm. If you're a job you hate, you don't have to throw it all away. Just start loving yourself a little bit here and there. A minute here, 10 seconds there, when nobody's looking. Eat a little healthy foods, get out in nature, play with a pet. Do hobbies you love. Add some love and joy to your life. There's always seconds in our life, and they add up and they reprogram us. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you're feeling better, and people are saying, "Hey, you have a glow about you," and that makes you feel even better.
It's right. It does. And there's one line in your book where you say joy won't wait. You are your own best soulmate. So loving yourself is really important. It's about just a little bit. Even if you start small, it grows.
It's like being your own lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
You want the ships of life to come to you safely. You want all the good things to come to you. Well, you got to shine your light and attract these. You show the light, show the path, so the ships will come to you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. People are happy. You know, it's a funny thing because, you know, someone said to me once years ago, and I was being very joyful in the midst of hell, and they said, wow, you're being very Pollyanna, aren't you? And I was like, and I said, yeah, thank you. I mean, I did.
People tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done.
Oh, you know, people will have. I've had a little bit stronger words. You're crazy, and my response is, well, thank you. I'll put that crazy badge up on my chest with all the other crazy badges.
Oh,
because
good for
I
you.
think it's crazy to want to be sad, to not try to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's my life. You know, I had enough misery. I had enough tragedy in my life when I lost my parents.
Right.
The only thing that saved me was being happier, being more joyful, seeing grace, feeling God, feeling spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what anybody thinks. That's the only thing that allows me to breathe and have a life. So,
yeah, that stops a lot of people from getting on with their life is what other people. Yeah, one of my gurus or mentors is Terry Cole Whitaker, who wrote "What You Think of Me Is None of My Business," or that book. I may have misquoted the title, but it's very close to that. But it's great because that was her first bestseller, and I know why, because that's where it was all about teaching people that you can't get on with your life if you're concerned about what other people think of you. You know, just do your thing and keep going and move past that fear. Right?
There's a wonderful quote. Oscar Wilde says, "Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken."
Taken, yeah. It's true. Well, I'm going to open the lines up if anybody wants to call in and ask you a question about finding more joy or anything, actually.
Sure.
Even
Absolutely.
Ayurvedic questions. The number is 949-313-8880. We're on the line with Swami Sadashiva Tirtha, author, best-selling author, and many other things. You've done meditation teacher and all kinds of other things. But I think of you as just someone who's raising consciousness. So, you know, which is... Yeah. I want to ask you, you mentioned it just briefly just a second ago as well, that you got through all your grief with your parents and everything by being in joy and connecting with spirit. But one of the things you mentioned there is dreams. Is that when you knew you had that psychic ability? Do you think dreams talk to everyone in some way?
Well, I do believe we all have those gifts. Back in 1972, we didn't really, in my culture, we didn't have words for that. We didn't say you have visions or dreams or spirits and angels, or we feared them. You know, like I would have psychic. I'd say, my mother would say, "Why'd you turn that light on outside? It's the middle of the day. It's a guest light." I said, just like being a smart aleck, I said, "Oh, we're going to have some guests." And like in an hour, her friends show up. And her jaw drops, her eyes pop open, and she freaks out at how did I do that? And I don't know how I did that. I didn't know I was doing it. Other people downright get attacked by their parents for having gifts because they're so afraid. And so there needs, especially now, the young children, the millennials and younger, they're born with amazing gifts. And they really need to be honored and shown that this is healthy and necessary, and you've been born to bring light to this world and create a new world. So there's a lot of that. That's one of my missions now, is to help the young people realize their gifts instead of just feeling crazy or outcast. Because I went through that. A lot of people went through that.
Me too. I'm very clairvoyant, and it would be I would like to see a day when that gift is just another one of your senses. You know, like
That's
you
right.
taste, you feel, you know, and by the way, you have a gut feeling, and that's your intuition, and honor it, because you know, and use it. So that's my goal too. I'd like to see that happen. So I'm glad you're working on that. It's really important, because I had a lot of trouble with that when I was young too, because I'd see things and say things, and, you know, and dreams do tell you a lot about.
They do. Really do.
They can be very prophetic. Yeah.
And for people, if anybody's listening and maybe you've had an experience like this, Well, oftentimes, just at that morning time when I'm just waking up, I'm not quite waking up, that's when I have my biggest visions. I call them visions because they're very strong and they feel so real. Like one time, all of a sudden, I saw this word in my brain, and it was like just when I was just about to wake up, and it said TORTH 971. And it was so strong, I bolted out of bed and I ran to the computer and I Googled TORTH 971. And God bless Google, it said, did you mean TOTH 971? And I said, probably that's what I meant. And there it was Thoth, the god from Egypt or wherever. And there was a plate of him, and the plate was numbered 971. And it was like, who is this guy? That's how I learned of Thoth. And try these things, because our left brain, our logical brain is going to say, oh, that's crazy. Oh, I'm going to look stupid. But have some fun with it, See where it takes you. Life is so dry. It's good to have a little adventure, let's see what's going to happen.
Right.
So dreams are really powerful. And if we operate under the premise that not so much that we're born with original sin, but we're born with original grace, that God is not vindictive, but all loving, that the angels invite us to make a change, but never yell at us
right,
or judge us, that the world is a loving, nurturing, coaxing world, then why not try? Why not test it? Do it small. Take small steps. Smile.
Right. Well, and I keep a dream journal because I'll forget.
Beautiful.
So if it's next to my bed, and if I really have something like that where it's a word and I need to write it down, I do it right away so I don't forget. Yeah, it's good.
Me too.
Yeah, it's good. But okay, well, people out there, call in 949-313-8880 if you have any questions about living in your joy or ways to be more joyful or ways to get where you can be more joyful. Any of those questions, please call in, because this is the guy that has the answers. And then you're going to say after the show is over, I have a question. I should have called in. Now, if that's the case, that happens a lot. And then I get a million emails. So instead, where can they find you, Swami?
The easiest place is to go to orangecowboy.com. Just like it sounds, orange is the color orange, cowboy.com.
Good. And then your books.
Yeah, the books are there, my academy, my courses. I have a 21 days of living in joy course, an online video course, where I have 3-minute videos every day to take the book even further. So just really fun stuff, and more is coming.
Right, and anybody can go on there and watch those, right?
Yeah. Well, the course, they could sign up for those courses. And I have them discounted for the holidays, so
good.
I don't know how long they'll be there, but they're discounted now.
Well, they're discounted now, and that's orangecowboy.com, right?
Right.
Okay, so I want to ask you about this meditation. How did this come about, the 60 seconds of changing your feelings, your being?
Sure. Well, as I was saying, Servant, I spent so many hours of each day meditating, and at a certain point, my everything about me rebelled and says, enough already. Stop just sitting around, especially when Spirit told me I'm coming off the bench and get ready to go in the world. And when I came back from the Amazon rainforest and I learned that instant healing, I said, well, how do we get people to release their stress? Because nobody has time to sit for an hour and meditate, or to go to India or Tibet or wherever. This is when I get these frank conversations with God or Spirit. I say, come on, give me something to give the people. Let's meet them where they are. If they're driving in their car, if they're talking to their boss, if they're at work, if they're having a conversation with their spouse or their kid, let's get something where they basically blink their eyes and they've reset themselves. Because we have the reset button on the computer. how do we reset us? And so I just started putting my hand, I started with the tapping. A lot of people know the emotional freedom technique.
Right.
And I got people to change in seconds with that. But you got to remember a lot of things. And so I said, all right, how would I do it? An active meditation, even if you're standing for a minute or sitting for a minute. And so this came about, and it's what you love. If you like, I'll take you through it because it's easier.
Go ahead. I'm going to be quiet and let you do that.
Okay. So everybody just put your right hand on your heart, and whatever if you're driving, you might not. I want you to keep your attention on the road. But everybody else, you just put your hand on your heart. And I'd like you to think about the person or the place or the thing or the hobby or whatever you love the most, whether it's God or painting or nature or your dog or your spouse or your kid. And take a nice deep breath. And as you do, think of the person or the thing you love the most and breathe right into your heart the joy of, oh, I love this person so much. I love that sunset so much. I love that Costa Rica so much, whatever that is. And as you exhale, just release everything that's not joy, everything that's not that, everything that you don't need to hold on to. Okay, so just think of that person you love, hand on your heart, inhale. Deep love in the heart. Feel the heart expanding. Oh, it feels so good. And just relax, release everything that's not that. How do you feel now?
I feel good.
Okay.
I feel good.
So, yeah. And then we could take it to a specific level. Each person, think of the thing that's the biggest challenge right now. If there's a physical health, there's pain, if there's a stress, whatever is that number one thing that's in the red zone. So if your kid's going off to school and you're anxious about that, or you have arthritis pain, or you have stress at work, think about, this is not medical advice, by the way, this is just love.
Right.
And put your hand on your heart and rate that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the pain or the issue emotionally is unbearable, and 1 is it's manageable, and rate it somewhere between 1 and 10. And now put your hand on your heart, and again, think about the person you love or the thing you love, and inhale and feel that love. Feel that expansion and release. And let's just, for good measure, just think of them again. Inhaling, feel the heart expanding in joy. So soft in the heart, so much joy in the brain, up the spine, and release. And now, think about that issue that was causing you stress and see what number it's at now. Did it drop? So if it was an 8 before, is it a 7.5 or a 6 or a 3? Or did it go away? What did you get, Servet? How did
3.
your numbers change?
It changed from an 8 to a 3.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So in seconds.
It did.
And we could do this everywhere. We could do this at work. We could do this driving in the car, eyes open. So while I support, I'm a big fan of silent, quiet meditations, there's this need now for quick resets, instant resets. And I just love to share this with people and to see their eyes pop open and go, holy cow.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that would change.
Yeah, it does. And, once you get that change, if I don't meditate in the morning, for some reason, which is very, very, very rare, but if I miss it, I'm a wreck by noon. Really. I'm just, and I know and I'll know, oh my God, it's because I missed I just can't get through that. It makes a huge difference. It really does.
Right.
Yeah, because you've reset, you set your mind. I set my tone for the whole day in that moment in the morning. So even in these brief seconds that you're doing this, the exercise you just took us through, the meditation, it's resetting you. It's resetting.
Exactly.
It's a do-over button.
Yeah, exactly. Do-overs. Okay.
Yeah, like if you're upset or something, I would definitely, instead of counting or something and then, go outside, count. This is much better because you actually feel that love in your heart,
Right. It's all the experience. And I teach this beginner's meditation with advanced results course, and this is the meditation I teach at Lilydale in the summertime. And last summer I taught it, and it brought up so many interesting things. The women in the group, there are mainly women there. They said, well, I have this issue with my in-laws, and we don't talk anymore, and it's about forgiveness. And so it turned out that we developed a mature form of the meditation. Now it was about, for them, forgiveness. So we did another meditation, and the forgiveness melted. The non-forgiveness melted away. And at the end of the 3-hour course, just as we finished, one of the ladies got a text from her in-law that they didn't speak to saying, we'd love to have you come over.
Yeah, it's kind of how the universe works, isn't it?
Yeah, time and space don't really have much to do with it. Love, joy has everything to do with it.
Right. It's true. And really, I remember the gentleman that did Ho'oponopono, something about I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you. It was just 4 lines, and I apologize to that person for not getting it completely right. But I studied that back then when he was doing it for people in prison, and it had nothing to do with anything except that energy, because nobody was hearing him say those things, and he was just and everybody in the prison sort of just calmed down. It was an amazing experience. It's the same thing, So you're doing it with people in their own personal situations, right? So.
And people's lives, you see how fast their lives change. Relationships change in seconds. It's amazing.
Yeah, and holding on to. Go ahead. You don't.
Just we have this idea that things are difficult and they take forever. That's an old paradigm. The light is here. We're in a new age. We're in the age of celebration, and it's the dawn for sure. It's still dark out, but those who are awake can start to create a day for people. And themselves.
Right. Well, we're running out of time already, and I'm going to just put it out there one last time, 949-313-8880. If anyone has a question or wants to talk to the Orange Cowboy himself, please do now. We don't have much time, but I could take a quick call if someone's calling in. It's funny because it's true. People do email later and text later and go, I should have called and I had this question now. But you know what? They can still find you if they need to at theorangecowboy.com, and your books are all out there for the world to get and to see, and they're good. I've got to say that. They are good. They're all good. I wish I had.
I'm a public speaker. I do workshops. So all around.
Do you travel, or are they all in New York? State.
No, I'll travel if there's a group, if there's a company, a group of people. Sometimes I'll do it for churches or for yoga centers or any group of people that really just say, hey, we need something more. We need something new for the age, for this age that's nothing else is covering. There's nothing. Somebody said to me, but I never read about this instant stuff in the books. I said, well, it's because I haven't written about it yet.
Yeah. You're still writing then. Are you working on a book right now?
In my head, I've got about 8 books, and it's just a matter of priorities of what comes first, whether it's a book or an online course. Lots of exciting things happening this year, and probably in another week I'll be able to tell you some really exciting things, but I won't know till sometime this week.
Okay.
So
well,
I have to keep some secrets.
Okay. Well, then that just means we have to have you back on. Because I have about 500 more questions that I could have asked that I haven't yet.
Well, you're such a delight. It's so pleasant to talk with you, and your voice is so uplifting and childlike, which is to me is a huge compliment that I give people.
Well, thank you. I thank you for that. There's a difference. There's a huge difference between being childlike and childish. So childish is, you can leave that away, but being childlike, I think everyone needs to do that. That's how we stay young. and young at heart and young in your heart. So I take that as a really nice compliment. I still have a few more minutes, so there's a couple things I do want. First of all, I'm just out of curiosity. When you wrote did you write the stress-free college student because you have a child that was in college?
No, actually, as a monk, I'm just married to God, basically. But I had a friend, an astrologer, a business astrologer, and they said, you're going to work with two groups of people, business people and college students. Oh. And I was taking a course, how to write a book in like a week or something like that. And so I thought, well, what book would I write? And I said, well, let me help the children, because 60 to 80% of college students are heavily stressed out. And so I researched the 5 key reasons the studies have found that they get stressed out. So workload, economics, finances, social, things like that. And so I made a chapter for each of them. And I said, let's do something, because this is one of the coolest times of our lives, going away to college. And I remember going to college, and it was like freedom is our finding ourselves. And if we get crushed, as the kids are doing, right. I don't even have time to talk to you at the campus because I'm late for class. So let's give them a life back. That was my motivation there. Right.
Well, okay. Well, it was good. Whatever motivated you to do that, I just wondered. And I'm sure a lot of people wish they had it when they were in college, or wish they had it when they had children in college, because that was what stressed me out more than anything else when my daughter went off to college, was that she was stressed out. So it was like, that stress was just, I carried it with me because you can't help it. Well, I did after a little while. I meditated on it and we got clear, but it took a little bit. The book would have helped. Yeah. So I'm glad you did it.
I get in my local health food store, I sell my books, and all these women are coming and buying that book for their kids in college.
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and they tell me, I wish I had this when I was in college.
Yeah.
Well, you could still use it. I think everybody has a little stress. So it's good for everybody.
Well, yeah, actually she's still feeling the stress of college even after college. So, I mean, it's just good. There's just good ideas in there, I think, about just dealing with stress in general. And your meditation that you just gave us in 60 seconds is excellent for stress. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, everybody can use that, and you do that, and the world becomes a lighter place because you become lighter. And the other thing I wanted to say, if we have a few seconds,
we do.
Another way to feel good, because some people are huge humanitarians, and up till now we've just been talking about helping ourselves. Well, there's a whole other way to meditate, and it's called bhakti yoga, or service to other people, devotion, or karma yoga. And if you go to a person, like there are days that I'll go into the health food store, because that's one of the only places I go in town, and I'm not feeling great, and I see somebody who looks like they're not happy. I would just go up to them and say, "Oh, good morning," or "That's a beautiful sweater," whatever. I mean, it's sincere, whatever I say.
Right.
But I find something nice to say to them, and they smile, and suddenly I feel better.
Yeah.
Or something you alluded to before. I'm sitting on a bench waiting for a car to pick me up, and I see people walking past me, and I just silently send blessings to them. Or I'll put a blessing cloud in front of them and watch them walk through it, and notice how they stand up a little straighter as they walk through the blessing cloud.
Right.
So there's things we can do for others without them even knowing it. Just to smile to others is, well, as I mentioned Robert Clancy before, he says something to the effect of, if you want to change the world, you can just change it by making somebody smile.
Right.
Smiling to somebody else changes that's service to the world.
That's true. I think gratitude, we didn't talk about that, but also being a service, what ye sow, so shall ye reap, which is Karma 101. So,
Right.
It's all the same thing. What you give out, you get back, and what you give the most of is what you get back the most of. So, all of those things are really important. And also not taking yourself too seriously. Also knowing we can make mistakes, it's not the end of the world.
I think
we're
we
here
need
to
to
grow.
make mistakes.
Right.
Because if we're not trying, we're not making mistakes. If we're not making mistakes, we're not trying, to say. And we're trying to figure out how to do things. We have to invent new things because everything in this world is obsolete now. The economics, the government, the politics, the environment. We need to invent new things. Who was it? Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times trying to make a light bulb. He says, I didn't fail. That was 10,000 times I learned those ways don't work. And then I discovered the way it did work.
Yep, it's true.
The best people, I think they said Michael Jordan, he made more mistakes in his, made more misses in his basketball attempt than other people have ever done trying. That really successful people make more mistakes than everybody else ever does put together. Because we're there trying all the time.
Right.
I think he only shoots a baseball player with a good batting average is 300%. Out of 3 out of 100. That's not a huge, great amount of successes. That means they're failing 70% of the time.
Yeah.
But that's huge. So go for it. Try and have coaches, have mentors, have gurus. Find people who help you and guide you. So you don't have to make the same mistakes. People get Sherpas when they go up to the top of Mount Everest. So get a spiritual Sherpa, get a wellness Sherpa, get a music teacher, have people help you, and have community of like-minded people, and it all becomes better. Celebrate everything you do. Celebrate with family, celebrate with like-minded people, celebrate with teachers, celebrate by listening to Servant Show. There's a whole lot of good things to do in this world.
Well, yeah, it's true, and that's a lovely way to end the show. It is. It's been a delight to have you on. It's so true. Just be in joy. We're not here that long. Life is short, a lot shorter than people think until it's too late. And so really, honestly, celebrate. There's something, I don't care how sad things are, there's something there that's good. And hold on to that and work with that. And you even have a line that you have some parts in your book where you talk about, just smile or just put a funny face on, skip down the street or something. It's true. When you do these things, you do feel good. And when you feel good, you get things flow. The universe opens up, doors open, walls fall down. It's true. And you don't really have to do much. You just have to be you and be happy and enjoy about that. And I know it sounds more simple than it is, but one of the ways to help you find that is with 21 Days of Joy. And you can find that on theorangecowboy.com. And we've had a delightful show with Swami Sadashiva Tirtha, who delighted to have you on. You were incredible. Thank you so much. Like I said, I had a million other questions. You have some amazing things coming up, I know, that we're not talking about. So we're just going to have you back towards the end of the year maybe, or mid-year when you've got your plans shaped, and we'll do it again. Okay? And
if anybody goes to my website, they can download a free meditation of Tibetan bowls that I created, a sound bath. So
there you
sign
go.
Up for that.
Good.
Thank you, Servant. It was such a joy to be with you.
Good to have you on. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night.
Joy, joy, joy.
Joy, joy, joy. I love that. Isn't he great? That was Swami Sadashiva Tirtha, and also known as, aka the Orange Cowboy, which sounds funny, but he absolutely knows what he's doing. He is a hip guru, and it's theorangecowboy.com if you need more information. I am Servet Hassan, so you can find out all about me at servethassan.com. ServetHassan.com. You can also email me with any comments or questions at that same website. So it would be Servet at ServetHassan.com. Wow, how did you know? Anyway, I love hearing from all of you, and I know I got a lot of emails when I was gone and wasn't on the air for a couple of months. During my illness, I'm back. Everything's going well, and I am in joy. So things are going to only just get better and better. But go to my website to find out other things. It hasn't been updated in a while, but that's one of the things I'm going to get to very soon. But for private consultations with people, that kind of information, and on my books, all of that's on my website. My private consultations, my specialty is getting you unstuck more so than clairvoyant end of things. I really focus in on what's keeping people from moving forward. So you can go there and find out all about that. My blog is coming up. I will be blogging again starting next month, and the podcasts are coming out on iTunes, and all of that stuff's happening. I will get to it all. I know I will. And I just love doing the show, and I appreciate all of you tuning in. And I've got a really great guest next week. Her name is Kimberly Hart, and she has a heart. She's got the right last name. Her website is getlove.com. So, but I have to tell you something. She's a real pistol. Getlove.com is great. It's all about love, but she started out as the go-to person on crisis intervention with major news networks. So this girl knows her stuff, but what that led to, the crisis intervention things with the news networks, et cetera, and then major Fortune 500 companies that she's worked with, including places like Hewlett-Packard, and they call on her often. But all of this led down to her passion, which is relationships, which is why her website's called getlove.com. But she learned, because of all of this, the secrets of relationships, not only how they work and why they don't work, but also one of the biggest secrets of all, which is how to get how relationships thrive. So she's fascinating. She will be with me next Sunday, January 21st, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on Clear Source Radio live. And so you can call in and talk to her with questions about relationships, why they're not working, how you can make them work, why they're failing, if you need to let them fail, and also if you're in a relationship, how to make that turn around, get better, thrive, grow, all of those things. It's all about love, and so are we. And also, I always end my show with be you to the full, because that's what's really beautiful, and that's what we were talking about with the Swami, because it puts you in joy, and when you're in joy, things come to you. And when you're authentic and being yourself and living your life the way you want to live it, because it is your life to live as you choose, no one else, and you're not sitting around caring about what other people think of you or say about you. Life happens. Things happen. Joyful things happen. Celebratory things happen. And great things happen with very little effort, because you are being you to the full, which is truly beautiful. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you or talk to you next week. Thank you, and good night.